I just want to start today taking a little bit of time to relax, come down. And I'm going to start today by reading. I've been enjoying James Dillett Freeman, who a lot of you know worked through Unity. He was a poet laureate, and two of his poems are on the moon. And this one's called I Am There, and I think it's a great comfort to us, because even though we're coming out of COVID, people are still feeling isolated, a little alone, not knowing how to handle things. And so this is his poem called I Am There. So just relax, close your eyes if you want, and just listen to the words and absorb them for you. Do you need me? I am there. You cannot see me, and yet I'm the light that you see by. You cannot hear me, yet I speak through your voice. You cannot feel me, and yet I'm the power at work in your hands. I'm at work, though you don't understand my ways. I'm at work, though you don't recognize my works. I'm not strange visions, I am not mysteries. Only in absolute stillness, beyond self, can you know me as I am, and then, but as a feeling and a faith. Yet I'm there, yet I hear, yet I answer. When you need me, I am there. Even if you deny me, I am there. Even when you feel most alone, I am there. Even in your fears, I am there. Even in your pain, I am there. I'm there when you pray and when you do not pray. I'm in you, and you are in me. Only in your mind can you feel separate from me, for only in your mind are the mists of yours and mine. Yet only with your mind can you know me and experience me. Empty your heart of empty fears. When you get yourself out of the way, I am there. You can of yourself do nothing, but I can do it all. I am in all. And though you may not see the good, good is there, for I am there. I'm there because I have to be, because I am. Only in me does the world have meaning. Only out of me does the world take form. Only because of me does the world go forward. I am the law on which the movement of the stars and the growth of living cells are founded. I am the love that is the law's fulfillment. I am assurance, I am peace, I am oneness. I am the law that you can live by. I am the love that you can cling to. I'm your assurance. I'm your peace. I am one with you. I am. Though you fail to find me, I do not fail you. Though your faith in me is unsure, my faith in you never wavers, because I know you, because I love you. Behold, I am there. This was written when James Dillett Freeman's wife was terribly, terribly ill. And he was praying for her one night, and he heard those words, and he actually looked around. It was so strong in his mind. And he felt hope and comfort. And he said, all at once, there was a presence in the room with us, and we knew we were not alone. Now, yesterday, in the book club discussion, the question was posited after a story in the book that illustrated that one chap took a risk and he became a multimillionaire, and the other one, the founding fellows, chose just to keep working for the company and was comfortable. And someone pointed out that what's wrong with being comfortable if you're happy and you're content? And it started a great discussion, but that's what happens in this book discussion group. But we were encouraged to stretch ourselves a little bit and overcome fears and experience life at a higher level. And once again, I go to James Dillett Freeman, who said, how do I find what life's about unless I venture farther out? Something in me is not content. Something affirms that I am meant for more. And so I have to try and see if somehow I can fly. Going beyond the edge of things, I may find out that I have wings, though they were of a different kind than birds, being mainly in the mind. Whatever now I seem to be, yet more is to be found in me. And we were inspired by a story of one of our members who said she was pushed into a limit that she wasn't expecting when she got a new job. And she was guided and supported and realized that she could go further than she thought she could. I found we were discussing how we can be of use in the universe and sometimes not even know that we are. Stop giggling, you know it was you. And so, I was talking about the ripple effect. Sometimes we don't even know that we help people and we support people, we inspire people, and sometimes we get the feedback, but there is a ripple effect. And it comes down to the point of realizing that your whole life affects the people you know, you love, you meet, you work with. And I started sitting there being like the proverbial Cheshire cat, because I knew that today I wanted to share this amazing little book with you. So I rediscovered, and I was talking to Robin before about how you get organized, and I always get distracted because I find something, oh, this looks really good, I'm going to read this. Well, because I don't get what I planned to do done, everything goes back in the box. But I found this book the other day, and it was a long time ago that we had a chap called Ayman Motwani come and speak to us here, and I got his book, and I know I did because it's inscribed to me. It's a good way to remember. So the story he tells is of a young man that hadn't really got on terribly well with his father, and his father died, and he thought, well, I better go back and support him and honor him, and he expected just a few people to be there. There were hundreds of people lined up. The weather was terrible. It was pouring with rain, and yet no one moved because they wanted to honor this man. And he just looked in astonishment. He thought, I didn't even know he knew this many people. What are all these people doing here? So he joined the line, and he started asking them, why are you here? And he found out that his father had inspired so many people, and people knew him as father. And so he tried to find out what he had done and the secrets that had made him so powerful. And he was, Adwani was talking about this, and someone said, why don't you write it down? And the little book called You Can Change the World became in the genre of Who Stole My Cheese and Tuesdays with Maury. They were very fashionable some years ago. So he's found himself saying to himself, if I died tomorrow, I wonder if anyone would notice, unlike my dad. Would anyone come to my funeral? So I'm going to be copying our gorgeous minister who reads from a book, and I'm going to do that because there are far too many precious pages to have written them all out. Here we go. He talks about finding a new perspective at the end of his dad's life. And he found that his father's image filtered before him. He remembered a conversation they'd had, and he could still see his father's face, his eyes radiating kindness and patience. And his dad had said, to make a difference in the world, you must go beyond merely doing things. Whenever you do things for others, you make a difference, but only for a short time. When you feed them, soon they're hungry again. When you clothe them, they get cold and bare again. You clothe them, soon you can give them money, but it's never enough. There's a way to change the world that's far easier, more lasting, and far more powerful. And he could still hear his father whisper, most people focus on doing things as a way to make a difference. Why don't they realize that the most powerful way to make a difference doesn't require you actually do anything at all? So he was a little bit surprised, and he thought, I don't know what my dad was talking about. So he started asking different people in the lines around the church, realizing that he wishes he'd paid closer attention to what his dad had said. And some people talked about, your father gave me a new perspective. He changed my life. He changed my life at work. He changed my life with my family. He changed my life with people I thought I hated. And one woman had said to him, I tried books, all kinds of programs, support groups and therapists. Nothing changed. And then he came into her life, and she realized things started looking up when I met your father. It was the most unusual thing. Somehow I always felt so special when I was with him. His face would light up when he saw me. Just like that. It was as though he saw things in me I didn't see in myself. I had a tremendous sense that he just believed in me. He never compared me to others, never let me feel I wasn't good enough, never told me to cheer up, never gave me that tired old line about things will get out and work out for the better. He just believed in me. And for the first time in my life, I started feeling good about being me, just me. For the first time, I started feeling happy. I started feeling a calmness that I didn't know was possible. Excuse me. So he was talking to somebody else, and he said, isn't it obvious? And he said, no, it's not obvious what he did. He said, not to me. Tell me, why do you get such a deep faith in people? Why do you have such a deep faith in all the people in your life? And actually, he was talking to his dad. And the answer he gave me changed my perspective completely. It changed how I experienced everyone and everything in the world. It changed me. I don't think I'll ever see the world in the same way again. Very few people believe in their heart that every man and woman has an intrinsic worth in this world. Very few people believe that every man and every woman, no matter what they do or what their background, has a special purpose in this world. We all say it, we all write about it because it sounds good and it feels good, but people don't really believe it. Knowledge without practice is the same as no knowledge. And he paused to let that sink in. If we all believed that, we would practice it, and the whole world would be different. If you believe the worth is in there, you will see it. You will see it in a homeless person. You'll see it in a difficult person. You'll see it in someone who is not very likable at first. If you believe it, you'll see it. And that brings me back to Robert Schuller's card when he used to say, God loves you and so do I. And I know you all know that I love the card that said, God loves you and I'm trying. So he's saying here, if you believe it, you'll see it. You make it sound like this is the most important thing in the world. And he said, it is, and this is why. You may not realize it, but in every interaction, in every exchange, in every transaction with another human being, you either cut them down or you build them up. When you believe in their worth, you can't help but build them up. That's because they can see that in your eyes as well. That's because they see it in the way that you look at them, in the way you smile at them, in everything you do and everything you say to them. Here's how you see. What you believe, who you are, communicates a lot more than anything you actually do or say. It's pretty deep. Either you believe or you don't. If you're trying to believe, or if you're not quite sure, it's the same as not believing. And make no mistake, either you build them up or you cut them down. There's no middle ground. So he wants us to be more aware of how we interact with people. Believing is free. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to do anything. And yet you can change the world for everyone around you. I want to go to this bit that just blew me away. Okay. Because this one little lady had said, oh, I'm sorry. All my stickers have stuck together. So this lady said to him, I did a few calculations on the way here. And she was a little old lady, and she had been affected by his father as well. And all these people called him father, because he always made them feel so wonderful. She said, suppose each one of us affects just 9 people. Suppose each one of us affects these 9 people in such a way that each of them affects another 9 people. And suppose in this way, every individual affects another 9 people. Assuming that each time we're affecting 9 new people, by the time we're just 10 tears deep, we will collectively have changed the lives of nearly half the people on this planet. 3 billion people. She paused to collect her breath. Every individual has the power to change the world. And that's the legacy your father left behind all of us. In conversation yesterday, someone was saying, well, there's nothing I can do that's going to change the world, that's going to be dramatic, that people are going to know about. And we talked about how many people, I call them quiet angels, people that do things for others, they don't brag about it, they don't want credit for it, they just do it. And I've seen a number of TV shows that talk about someone having a bad start to their day, so they yell at everybody on the road in the traffic, and they yell at everybody at work. All those people get in a bad mood, they pass it on, they go home and they pass it on. And they have not made the world a better place. On the other hand, you go out and you do something good for somebody, and they pass it on. And we don't often realize just how much we do and how much we interact can change a lot of people's lives, not just a few. This book is so fantastic. You want to get it. It's called Yes, You Can Change the World. Something clicked inside of me, and I understood the source of my dad's charisma. Our culture teaches that charisma comes from drawing, even inspiring the attention of others to yourself. That being charismatic involves grandiose gestures, good looks, and endearing characteristics. And it's not correct. The charisma is when you are just so peaceful and loving that people are drawn to you, and how they feel when they leave you. And they feel inspired to be a better person and to pass it on. There's nothing to do, he said. It's actually quite simple. You just start with the belief that each and every individual is special. And when you do that, you're going to look at everybody differently. He observed, I don't get sidetracked by how little time I have. Instead, I focus on how to make the most of what time I have with each and every individual. As a culture, we're so obsessed with how little time we have, we fail to make the most of what time we do have. He allowed me a moment to think, and then he said, we're so busy just existing, we're not really living. Gave me a lot of stuff to think about. You can't force feed people into learning. People learn best when they are ready. And often we've had people here say, well, how can I, I'm telling my friend about this, and they get this glazed look over their eyes because they don't know what I'm talking about. Sounds a little woo-woo. Sometimes they try and rescue me from a cult. But, because we know the truth for ourselves, but our lives need to demonstrate what our truth is, not talking at people, because often we don't listen. And if people have a set idea, we're not going to change their minds. And they might try to change our minds too, and that's not going to work either. So it's more living by example and what you emanate in your daily lives that is so important. So he suddenly realized that he was shifting his perspective. And I'm going to retell the story of Stephen Covey. I know you've heard it, and you probably already know the end. But, he was on a train one time, and this man got on with his children, and they were really naughty. They're jumping on the seats, swinging around the poles, and they're irritating everybody. And he thought he would do the right thing and, quieten these kids down and reprimand the father in a way for not looking after his children. But kindly, he tried to say to him, well, your children are very excitable, aren't they? And he said, yes. He said, we've just come from the hospital. My wife just died. What just happened in your minds? You changed your perspective. And so often we see people and we judge them from the looks that we see, not realizing that everybody has a story. And often those stories are worth getting to know. And that's why I love, in my classes, we have what I call cocktail hour. It's not an hour, but we get people in twos to ask each other questions, as if you were doing a little conversation with a group of people that you have never met before. And then after that, we get that person to introduce their partner. And that way everybody's got to know nobody a little bit better, because, often on a Sunday, unless you're involved in a group or you volunteer, you come in, you say, good morning, we're at the service, we have a little coffee, and we leave. We don't know each other. And so sometimes it's really worth getting to know each other, because there are so many treasures in this congregation, and we just don't have time to get to know each other. So it's a really good lesson to me to share that with people. Somebody says, you keep saying things like this, and I'm not getting it. The reason you're struggling with all these decisions, whether to forgive your dad or whether to forget what he did, whether to see him again, because there's one chap that hated his dad and hated Thanksgiving. It was one day out of the whole year, but he hated that day, and he built up to it and thought about it all the time. He said, because you haven't first shifted your perspective. You've set the cart before the horse. When you shift your perspective, it won't be such a burden anymore. And he said, over the years, people aren't who they first appear to be. And he points out that often someone that's really horrible, cruel, bullish, nasty, is that they're hurting. And I saw a program once where this person, instead of giving people therapy and digging deeply, he just said, who hurt you? And it had such an impact on me just to think, wow, everybody has a story. If we see people and we know their story and we understand them better, we're coming to learn to understand ourselves a little bit better too. There are people in this world who want to do the right thing, but they simply don't know how. So what do you suppose their life is like? I don't know. Why should I care? He held out his hand. He said, I don't know your dad, but my guess is that he was drowning in shame and guilt and sorrow. As miserable as he made your life, his own life, I'm sure, is far more miserable. Another way of growing out of being the victim and trying to understand the other person. And I'm sure that each one of us has someone in their life like that, whether it's a workmate, whether it's a family member, whether it's a parent, even a child. There's so many talks about parents gearing their life towards making their children's lives better. You're going to go to this college, and then you're going to do this, and you're going to do that. And then when they finally get the courage to talk to their child, they find that isn't what they want. Or they'll do things to please their parents, and then later on, they will do what they really love or what they always wanted to do. Once again, it's putting ourselves in the other person's place. It's seeing things from their perspective, and that changes our perspective. A light clicked on in my head. Father had given me a whole new insight into my dad. Despite my new clarity, questions kept popping into my head. I'm still confused about what I'm supposed to do. He said, that's the best part. You don't have to do anything. You do nothing. Simply shift your perspective and everything else will follow. Stop focusing on the big, tough exercise and the exteriors. Focus instead on the pain, the potential to do good that hides and buried inside. You're too focused on yourself and what you've experienced. Take a moment to move your focus away from yourself to your dad and see what he's experiencing inside. I know you're going to want to get this book for yourself. It's really terrific. Keep this in mind. What most people want, what they crave, is to be seen. to feel understood, to matter. And I remember the cancer group down at Redondo Beach once had a thing for children of cancer patients. And the sign said, "I matter too." Because as much as parents thought they were hiding the truth from their children, they weren't. And the children needed to be taken care of and to feel that they were counted and feel that they were seen and understood. Don't underestimate the power you have. Power? What power? If anything, I feel powerless. He just repeated, don't underestimate the power you have. You're far more powerful than you think. The power you have starts with your own perspective. And I found this great article that says how to take your power back in 3 easy steps, or simple steps. Make sure your thoughts are aligned with love. Observe them constantly. From a spiritual perspective, the ego is based on fearless illusions that come throughout the day. They look like judgment, they look like blame, attack, confusion, worry, and all negative emotions. But most of the time, this incessant voice is directed towards ourselves. The more we choose love and release fear, the more we choose reality and release the illusions that keep us self-imposed in a prison. So go deeper and identify those limiting beliefs and core beliefs. Get rid of them. They keep us in toxic relationships, jobs we hate, addictions, fear of stepping out into our life's true purpose. And begin to practice self-trust. Trust yourself. You know, when we truly believe that we're expressions of God, we've got to trust it. It's not easy, because those little voices are always on at us, but we have to trust that source. You're far more powerful than you think. Don't abdicate your power. Don't give it away. Take it back. I actually remember an experience in my life when I remember saying, I have to take my power back. And even just saying that to myself felt amazing, because I'd handed it over. I was handing over my self-image, my self-ideas to someone else. However they judged me, that was what I was. A little screwy there, but never mind, that's what I felt. So if the other person's whiny, your perspective sets the stage for them to be more whiny. If the other person's acting needy, your perspective sets the stage for them to be needy. If the other person is controlling, your perspective sets the stage for them to be more controlling or less. I'm galloping along here. So in arguments, sometimes when you appreciate the other person's perspective, it becomes less of an argument and less of a debate and more of a sharing of ideas. And you may even find you change your perspective on something. We shouldn't be afraid of doing that, because that means we're growing, we're expanding, we're being more accepting, we're being more, actually more powerful and more knowledgeable. And I read somewhere where it said knowledge is power, and it went, no, awareness is power. Just to be accepting and to be aware, it makes you so powerful. And we're back to the perspective shift. Just remember the man on the train. When he realized the truth of that man, he no longer judged him as being a bad parent and the kid's out of control. People who go through life with an either-or perspective are disconnected from the true reality of human beings. You know, no one's black or white. I don't have to hate you because you're the wrong color or the wrong religion or the wrong political party. There's more to you than that label. And that's what makes us so interesting to each other and expands our group of people, because he talks here about having a black or white either-or mentality that can block things and make us have fewer people in our lives. Whereas if you accept people as they are and share what they have to give, your life will expand. With a simple shift, you will see the multifaceted nature of everyone around you. You will see their true nature, and in doing so, you connect with them in the deepest way possible. And you will find your success brings genuine joy, satisfaction, and loyalty. In changing the world around you, you will have changed your own world as well. I learned that how well you execute starts with who you are, how well you act, and how you see the world. How you see the world governs everything you achieve in this world, and how the world governs your entire experience of the world, business, person, and spiritual, makes a difference. Now, where have we heard that before? Change your thinking, change your life. I know I've heard that somewhere. Okay. So, I think I talked about time. The first shift in perspective I learned from your father was the one about focusing, not on how little time we have, but on making the most of the time we have. And I've written here, big finish. See the intrinsic worth of every person you encounter. And he goes on to say that you focus not on how little time, we already said that, but how to make the most of the time you have. Focus not on what you see in the outside of a person, but on the person within. See the pain within and see the potential within. Focus on not what's wrong with a person, what makes them right. See their strength. Don't see their weakness. You have to change the way you see the world, and you will change the world. I have a little story here about talking about being yourself and being true to yourself. And it was President Calvin Coolidge once invited friends from his hometown to dine at the White House. They were worried about their table manners, so they decided to do everything that Coolidge did. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been at dinners where I go, oh my God, I work outwards in, what fork do I use for this, what spoon do I use, and what's this little thing for, and I have no idea. So you're watching people around you to see what they do. They did this. This strategy succeeded until coffee was served. The president poured his coffee into the saucer. The guest did the same. Then he added sugar and cream. The guest did that too. Then Coolidge bent over, put his saucer on the floor for the cat to have. So sometimes you've got to trust yourself. And just know that the way you see life and you see yourself in this world is just so incredibly important. Trust yourself. And know, and have the courage to change your perspective and look for that good in people. You know, I know that often I'll dismiss people that I see in the street. Well, they all have a story, and sometimes it's fun to know it. We all know Dr. Sue Rubin now, and one of the things she's done, probably still does, is go to a coffee shop on her own, just sit there, and then start chatting with someone. Tell me your story. And those people are so grateful for that opportunity to talk about their life, their experience, who they are. It enriches them, and it enriches her too, because she's given of herself. She doesn't do it to enrich herself, but she realizes that everybody has value. And I love the fact that she does that. She's a pretty amazing person. So, you know, when you feel that you don't have your power, become aware of it and remind yourself that the thoughts and the feelings you're experiencing are coming from a part of you that's frightened by the thought that you're not good enough. You're absolutely good enough. Do I want my decisions to be made by the part of me that is frightened? What would I do in this situation if I were compassionate and really wise? There's a learning potential in every single decision we make. So I saw this quote that says, don't be afraid that your life will end. Be afraid that it will never begin. And I think that's truly powerful. When you perceive your ultimate goal, it may present it in an unexpected journey, but just know that yes, you can change the world. Up to 500 million people, let's face it. No, is it 3 billion people we can change in a certain amount of time? So I just want us to take a few minutes to just quietly close your eyes and relax again, and just hear a few words that I want to share in accepting who you are and knowing who you are. My lessons have prepared me for my breathtaking future. I've needed every experience up to now for this moment. And there's no need to apologize for my past choices, because I've made the best choices I could based on what I knew then. Shame, blame, guilt, regret, or anger have no power over me. They don't have the right to live in my body. I evict them, and I say goodbye right now. I am my own best friend. Everything I need to feel whole and complete is inside of me. I've always been enough. I am enough. And every decision I make from now on, I will be making it in the moment based on what I know. Any decision I've made in the past has brought me an experience, a great lesson, and I've needed them both. I bless my lessons. Every experience I've had, as painful, as challenging, as unfair as they might have seemed, needed to occur to make me strong, to make me forgiving, to facilitate the greatness, the perseverance, and the tenacity in my soul. And I am here. I am here, whole and complete. There's not just a little piece of me present. The whole of me is here. I'm a powerful being of possibility, and today I declare unapologetically that I'm stepping into my greatness. I'm allowing my light to shine. No longer am I a 60-watt bulb. I'm going to be 120 watts. I stand in my greatness. I'm my own champion. I recognize my genius, and I embrace my brilliance. Today, I embrace, I get who I am, and I own who I am. And I realize that dimming my light doesn't serve the planet, let alone me. When I allow my light to shine brightly, I will illuminate the darkness that someone else may be sitting in. When I allow my light to shine brightly in that expression of self-love, someone else gets to experience the contagion, the contagious being called me. I know I don't have to wait until I'm perfect, because it's in my imperfections that I'm getting perfect for this assignment called life. I want you just to feel your body moving again and be happy that you're in some wonderful seats. Feel your greatness moving through your body via your breath. Feel your aliveness and brightness of your future as you slowly come back to be ready to go out into the world. Feel the movement in your cheeks as you open and smile in yourself. So with that, here endeth the lesson. And now we'll take a moment to express our gratitude for all our blessings as we say together, divine love concentrates my gift. It goes forth to bless and to prosper all who give and all who receive. And I rejoice in the sharing of my good. So, I didn't know it was up there. And I release my gift with love. And so it is. Thank you, Ruth. I'm just going to finish this part of the service. Another one of James Dillett Freeman's writings is something that we often know, and we probably don't credit him with writing it, and it's the power for protection. And I often find myself saying this if there's something that I see that startles me or that I'm concerned about it, and it's the light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. Feel that feeling of being enfolded in God's love. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is. And so it is. So, I'm not supposed to move. Grant tells me I have to stay here to be in the limelight. So does anyone have any treatments they'd like or any questions they have? I do want to tell you there's this little book which is probably not in the bookstore. It was written over 20 years ago. So I was delighted to catch up with it again. It's Yes, You Can Change the World. Armand Motwani, and I think he was part of a panel. I don't know. I don't actually remember, but it's so dynamic. And you will see why when you change your world in this way, the ripples are felt by people you don't even know, ultimately making the world a better place. This is a book for life and living. It's the handbook for making a true and lasting difference. So, done. Any questions? Any treatments wanted? You're all, oh, yes, hi. Grant has a mic, so just so we can know what you...
I just wanted to thank you, Reverend Kathy, because that was really powerful and meaningful. And I believe that Matwani, is that how you say his name, came to our church many years ago. I think that book must have passed through my awareness, and perhaps I thought I was too busy to read it. I don't know, which is a lesson in itself. But it's so very, very meaningful, and I certainly will draw on the things that you brought out today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. He calls this a parable, but it's just so meaningful, and to learn the ways that different people reacted to this man. He even goes into, he was aware that there was, something like that around, and it was a beggar who knew the truth even better. And we ran across that sort of story when we did our last book, which was You're in a Light, or Aladdin's Lamp, where this old fella that was came from outside town was sort of looking a little scruffy and a little smelly even, and everybody sort of moves away and he's on his own. And then he would go, "Do you want me to speak the word for you?" And most amazing things happened, and suddenly people wanted to sit near him and wanted to talk to him because he had that power. So, and people just didn't, they judged him by how he looked. And so sometimes we're going to get lessons. Oh, Reverend Mary talks about getting lessons from billboards, and it's true. I remember a talk being based on once that this person didn't know what to say, and they went, "You're pre-approved." I got it. So, there are lessons to be found everywhere. And I love the fact that this chap shared this book with us. Judy, got a mic coming.
Oh, all right. In my neighborhood, the billboard said, "You're enough." And I remember reading that book, Aladdin's Lamp, and the cowboy, he left before the class had finished its series, and they asked him why he was leaving, and he said, "I only came here to learn how to calm and take care of the cattle." And he was gone.
I love it. Yeah, animals count too. All right, everybody, is that it? So we can head off to lunch now, or have a lovely day. And thank you for the cooling in this sanctuary. Bye-bye.